Hello, everyone, and welcome into The Drive here on 92.9 The Ticket. Aaron Jackson and Mark Paulette in the Greenway Equipment Sales Studios, your locally owned John Deere dealer. See the Smith Brothers in Bangor and Ellsworth, because nothing runs like a Deere. Here's what we have coming up in today's show, a Friday edition. We've got two drive polls, one at 4:15, one at 5:15. We'll talk with Lauren Campbell of MassLive.com. She was following the Red Sox for enjoyment. And that's weird, like physically following them out west. I guess, maybe you use that as you want to go out west and you just want to...
I booked her for today's show because she had pictures out in Seattle. She had pictures in Colorado. I said, Lauren, seems like you were out west with this team. You want to come on today, talk about the vibes around them? She was like, yeah, I was actually out there for fun on a personal trip. I'm like, what the heck are you doing? Checking in on the Red Sox then and both stops that they made. You can't mix this year's team with pleasure.
No. We'll talk some Maine hockey as the 2026-27 schedule is released. Second hour of the show, we'll have that second drive poll. We'll have a Sports Center and weather in both hours, of course. We'll talk about some different trade scenarios for Jaylen Brown, get your Sox props, and a buzzer beaters. But we start with more of the feud, so off-court things between Stephen A. and Jaylen Brown, because I saw these clips, I think yesterday. Maybe it was this. No, it was definitely yesterday. And I thought to myself, damn it, Aaron, you hate when you have to agree with Stephen A. Smith.
I know it.
So the fact that Jaylen Brown is pushing you to agree with Stephen A. Smith, and what you don't hear in Stephen A.'s clip there is that he had his producers volunteered, however they did it, to cut up all of his comments over the last year about Jaylen Brown. And they're just like positive comment after he's a top 2 MVP candidate and all these nice things. Now, I'm sure they focused on the positive and they left the negative on the cutting room floor. But to suggest that ESPN is unethical, what is Jaylen Brown trying to say there?
I think Jaylen Brown is getting caught up in... Now, Jaylen Brown is, I was going to say, of our generation. He's my generation, right? He's a year younger than me. He's kind of getting caught in the Gen Z way of things where you just spout off craziness without any sort of sourcing to back it up, without anything to go behind it. And that's just the way that the world seems to work now. Like, you just put craziness out there. You don't have to worry about it coming back on you because accountability is nothing. But he's not just sitting back through all this and being like, I want to be in Boston forever. Why are they dangling me out there? Which is, I think, how part of the Celtics fan base, part of the show is kind of making it out to seem like. No, he's kind of doing his own weird thing out there and leaving a little breadcrumb trail of like, I like being a number one. I like leading my own team. And the more he talks, it seems to be pointing in that direction. Or, I don't know, like the more I hear from Jaylen Brown, I have always thought he is just this like measured, calculated, thoughtful individual. Yeah. And the more I hear him speak, the less aware he seems to be.
Yeah, I think what Stephen A. said at one point there, that he's caught in his feels, pretty much hit the nail on the head. Yeah. Jaylen Brown is feeling some different emotions because he had a fantastic season. He was the number one guy. He led the team to a significantly better record than people believed he was capable of doing.
A bunch of scrubs, don't forget. A bunch of salary dumps. That was a bigger shot at the Boston Celtics and his teammates than it was Stephen A. Smith.
And I think what he's probably trying to say there is like, hey, we got rid of some of our starters because we had to for salary purposes. And of course, that's the case. But then you actually look deeper and you say to yourselves, okay, well, yeah, there was a salary dump there, but like Kristaps Porzingis, clearly there were some issues there. There still are. He played like 32 games this past year, right? Like he was not a good basketball player for most of the season. He was highly irrelevant. And Drew Holiday was obviously past his prime. They gave him the big extension, so it wouldn't be an issue during the playoffs. They won the title that year.
I don't even think it's those guys, though. It's a slap in the face to Peyton Pritchard and Nimi Keita and Baylor Shireman and all these pieces that you did make it work with last year that you're telling the world they were nothing. I just happen to be leading it.
I think it's another case of Jaylen Brown saying the thing and thinking it one way. I think he's saying it as in, we dumped some of the big salaries, some of the best players off the team because financially we couldn't afford them. And so that's why it was a tough year and we had to play that way. I don't think he's viewing it as, I'm going to throw these guys under the bus that I did play with. That's why I'm trying to make that case for him.
I don't think so either. I think it was a little bit of like it just came out wrong, and we and everybody's kind of taking it out of context in that way.
But do you think that Kristaps Porzingis makes the Celtics team this past year? Like, do they win one more game with him? Maybe. Like, they're not a functionally significantly better team if they had still had Porzingis and Holiday, in my mind.
The thing that I'm just discovering with Jaylen Brown is that I think he's just one of those people that he believes everyone understands like his word and where he's coming from inside his head. Yeah. So he is intelligent and he has gotten to higher heights than me, you, and anybody listening to this probably ever will in their life by signing a $300 million contract. We don't know who our listeners are,
all of them.
If someone is listening out there with $300 million, please call in and give me $50K, because what is it to you? But I just mean, like, he has obviously accomplished so much. When you accomplish as much as Jaylen Brown has already at the age of 30, you start to think that what you think is maybe a little closer to gospel than opinion, right?
Yeah.
And he strikes me as one of those people that no matter what he says, he expects people to kind of agree with it because of where he is in life.
Yeah, I mean, you see that with a lot of people out there when they get to a certain amount of money. You just, like, even your best of friends no longer challenge your beliefs and your opinions, because to do so might threaten your status as being in the inner circle and losing that access to the money. And so I think you find, like, super rich people all of a sudden are surrounded, even like the good people that are not just the grifters, are yes men.
Remember like the initial streams that he was putting out there? Remember those characters that were standing around him?
Yeah.
Like the actual real life leprechaun that he had next to him and some, like, I don't know. It looked like a gathering of people that aren't necessarily saying, hey, Jaylen, maybe don't do that. Maybe don't go live right now.
I mean, the whole Stephen A thing that just keeps on going on. I hate that I find myself saying the words, I agree with Stephen A. But every time these two go at each other, I find myself nodding my head to Stephen A. And he was actually quite calm for once in his little thing
poignant
today.
Right there. Just saying you're looking foolish the more you speak.
Right. And like, what is the debate going to do? Like, what are you going to debate first off? And what's the purpose of, like, it's just dumb. There's no other way to describe it. And so, Jaylen, the best thing you can do, bud, go enjoy. You're at a film festival. You're at Cannes. That's a massive, amazing opportunity for you. Enjoy your time.
I wish Jason Tatum was a little more like Jaylen Brown, and I wish Jaylen Brown was a little more like Jason Tatum.
I think the thing with Brown is that he's always had a chip on his shoulder, but he's now accomplished, like, if you had a checklist of things you want to do in the NBA, win a title, check. Win an NBA Finals, MVP, check. Win a conference finals, MVP, check.
All second team, he was one spot outside of the first team.
So when you continuously need to have a chip on your shoulder, you have to start to imagine the chips where they ain't. And that's what he's doing right now.
And let's be real, he's in a position where he's always going to be the number 2 or the 1B on the Boston Celtics. So at what point does that become the chip? At what point does that become an issue where he's like, damn it, this is my organization. Yeah. Why aren't I the league dog?
We might be there. We're not there now, but I think we're... having been in a golf tournament all day, he's sitting on the fringe of the green of that.
I think it's materializing. We might be, I say we in the sense of like New England, the Celtic fan base. I'm worried that we're turning Jaylen Brown into a villain, like with everything we're doing, because he can kind of be that type. He can have that mindset.
But are fans in the media doing that, or is he doing that into himself?
Well, the team has been the one dangling his name out here all summer.
Oh, sure. But that's life in sports.
Oh, I know it.
It's never going to not be that case. And if you don't have thick enough skin to deal with that, then that's on you.
That's not me saying that, because I've said all along, Jaylen Brown should be able to look in the mirror and look at the situation and say, they were trying to trade me for an upgrade for Giannis, who's a top 5 player currently. Earlier in my career, when I was a kid, a young pup, they were trying to trade me for Kevin Durant, better player at the time. Like, they're not trying to trade him for scrubs, for salary dumps.
Right.
They're only trying to improve on their position. Someone with awareness, I think, would meet that a little better, but athletes obviously don't have that. You can't have that and make it to where they are.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's people whispering in his ear things like, why is it always you? Why is it always you?
Exactly.
Why isn't Tatum?
We've fielded some of those calls in recent days.
Like, why is Tatum never on the block? There are portions
of the fan base that feel that way.
Sure, yeah, I get it, I do. But so it's just weird. And yeah, the whole salary dump thing. I understand what he's trying to say, but like, enjoy your time at the Cannes Film Festival. Like, go watch some cool movies. Feel some meta analyses about the world through film, and stop taking microphones, shoving them up your face, and spouting off about Stephen A. Smith and the Celtics. Like, at some point, you've got to build a bridge and get over it. And he hasn't done that. I'm afraid it's like they're going to feel like they have to trade him if they don't already, and that is a problem.
I'm worried we are there.
Yeah, I am too. Because if it was for Giannis, that's one thing. Like, you're getting an upgrade. It might be a shorter term upgrade, but it was an upgrade, and I think anyone telling you it wasn't is crazy. Now, were there risks? Of course. But now it's like, we can talk some of these deals that we're seeing lately, but like Trey Murphy is the big name that you're seeing. He's a fine player. He's a borderline all-star caliber player at his best.
Alperen Şengün, or maybe Amin Thompson, but not both of them.
Yeah, like you're essentially at this point going more for depth than you are for star power if you're trading Jaylen Brown. That's just the reality of it.
I mean, at this point, they're not getting a player better than Jaylen Brown back in a Jaylen Brown trade.
No, I mean, the list was already quite short, and I don't see how you get someone better back. So now you're going for a younger player with upside, maybe a draft pick or two, and another bench piece. That's what you're hoping you can get. And even that, I think, is going to be tough.
A young big and a young wing plus a couple of draft picks, I think, is, at least in my mind, if you're trying to build a package, where it needs to start.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. Plenty more time to go before the start of the NBA season. Let's switch now really quickly to the Red Sox getting a win yesterday. Let's hear Caleb Durbin. I mean, the guy is just on fire right now. He's sliding into first base and
popping his pinky out, snapping it back in himself.
Yeah, coming back and just hitting dingers. Here he is.
And that result brings the Red Sox to within 13 games of 500 and 13 and a half of the Yankees at the top of the division.
Now, he is hitting the baseball well right now, to his credit, and maybe he can salvage a season. He's batting .224. He's got 32 RBI, but
I mean, we pounded this guy for as bad as he was for as long as he was, so it's only right to give him a little bit of a due. He's hitting .324, 5 homers, 10 RBIs. He's got 5 doubles for the month of June. That's very impressive.
Yeah.
He has a long way to go, though, to scratch these overall season numbers back to respectability.
Yeah. Now, we have a call on the Heroes hotline. Should we go there? Do we want to go there?
Let's test it.
Who's this?
Guys, how you doing?
Who's this?
This is Dave from Levant.
Dave, what are your thoughts?
Hey, just before I get into the Red Sox, Stephen A., and sorry I'm a little late on this, but here's my impression. Sometimes Stephen A. can really be profound. Sometimes he's a carnival barker.
Yes.
And you don't know which it's going to be.
That is as apt a description of Stephen A. as I think I've ever heard. Good on you, Dave.
Well done. Now,
could not be put better.
Do you agree with us that right now he's put the carnival barker in the back room and he's being very profound in what he's saying?
Gosh, I can't tell. I'm not sure. I do know when it comes to Jaylen Brown, yeah, I think probably he should stop. Stop talking. It's not helping him. I kind of think I know what he's saying about the second apron and how Zinger, Giroux, and Al, they had to get rid of all those guys. And I don't know if he's necessarily blaming anybody for that, except for maybe the league. But I think Jaylen's been great in Boston, and I don't necessarily blame him that they didn't win the championship last year. I mean, he does have one ring. But the one thing I wanted to say after having said all that, I listened to the program, was it 2 days ago, and heard Jim go through the letter.
Jim read your full letter on air, so you have the floor to respond, Dave.
Oh, sure. Yeah, well, I was driving back, and I said, gosh, I'm going to go off the road here. I was like in Dixmont, and I'm like, my goal was just to try to keep it out of the ravine, and I was successful. And most of his critique was pretty good. One point of interest or slight disagreement, Trevor Story. I don't think I'm completely naive about Trevor. He was pretty good last year. This year he hasn't been that great. He was supposed to be one of their better players this year, and he obviously hasn't been. But, yeah, I was just trying to make the point that when a lot of your stars go down, you can say next man up, but then all of a sudden, Sogard, IKF, and those guys are going down too. I'm like, okay, when does it stop? And that does make it a little challenging.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they don't have anybody behind the very few stars that are on this roster. I don't even know, like offensively, they're starless, right? Can you, Dave, say that there's a star in the lineup?
Well, I was hoping that Roman Anthony would be, but I mean, we all did, right?
Yeah.
So
still waiting there.
But the one thing I just want to say is the media have been pretty steadfast about some of these guys insisting that they're 4A players, and I don't have the credibility to argue with the writers in Boston or even you guys, but I will say that
Dave, you've got the credibility to argue with us.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Mark. But I was not valedictorian like you were. So
you got the wrong mark there.
I graduated in the top 100% of my class.
There you go.
So that's right. So anyway, the point I was going to make about Eaton and Sogard, and I think I mentioned them earlier in the season. Eaton, I don't know if you noticed, but he hit 6 balls on the screws Monday and Tuesday. He got 3 hits and 2 doubles out of it, but I just think with that guy's ability to make things happen, if he's not good enough to be on the team, that's a really good team, and we know it's not. So, and Sogard, I mean, I know I've raised this point before, but he has made one error in an entire half season playing 6 different positions. And I think he's the most shorthanded infielder since Pedroia.
Both those guys are good pieces. They probably should have been on the team to begin with out of spring training. It was just Alex Cora opted for Monasterio and those guys over them. I don't know, though. It's a tough one. 13 games under 500 to be... Like, Sogard's a solid professional. Eaton is a good spark plug, but there are a lot of issues with this Red Sox team before I get to them.
What Dave might be trying to say is the players are doing the best that they can in the circumstances they're given. They just don't, the talent on the team is not there because the ownership and whatever have not provided that to them. And so the guys that are on the team, you can't make fun of them and diss them too much because they're trying their darndest.
It's Craig Breslow's fault. It's the front office's fault. We can agree there, right, Dave?
Well, to some extent, but I mean, just one caveat. I mean, when you look at a guy like Durbin, I mean, he's been a totally different player over the last 30 days, right? I mean, he absolutely can agree on the fact that he absolutely stunk for the first
basically like 2 months. Yeah, I think that's That's kind of the issue with this team, and what leads into so much of the apathy around it is that they let a guy like Caleb Durbin do that for 2 months because there was just nowhere else to turn, Right.
And I just want to leave you with one thing. And I've been cheerleading for Eaton and Sogard. That's probably pretty obvious, and I sent an email to one of the pretty well-known writers in Boston. And he said, "What's the deal here, Dave? Are you Sogard's brother-in-law or something?" And I'm like, "No, I am not." So
maybe you can be his agent. Get in touch with Nick Sogard and say, "Hey, listen, this guy's not going to bat for you like I will."
Yeah. No, that's a good idea. Hey, I appreciate your time, and tell Jim he did a good job. I don't think I'm bitter. I think you guys were fair. So. But that was my only point, or a couple points. But no, it was fun to listen anyway.
Hey, if we're going to take the time to read a full email on air, I'm going to give you the time to call in and make your counterpoint.
Hey, thank you for the call, Dave.
All right, appreciate it. Bye-bye.
No, I was not here for it. You have to explain to me during the break the lore of what, because I understand kind of, but...
It was a more kindly written version of what Jim used to write to Red Sox front office.
And Jim was like, I'm going to read that on air.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Jim, very glass half full when it comes to the Red Sox. Very tip the glass over, stomp on it, and make sure all the water spills into the ground.
He's like at a Jewish wedding where they take the glass, smash it on the ground, and then stomp on it repeatedly. That's what he's doing to the... Which, by the way...
Dave's trying to stay half full.
He's still... for all of his hate for the Boston Red Sox, you know what I wake up to almost every freaking morning?
some of the most toxic messages I've ever seen.
There's always a text from Jim in our group chat about the Red Sox game that evening because he's still listening. He's still watching every single game. And I know this because every morning I wake up to a text.
Wake up to a...
And it's a Jim Churchill diatribe about something or other. Today it was jam-packed Fenway Park, fans on the edge of their seats, two teams battling for supremacy in the AL East. Oops. And then the Red Sox won. Caleb Durbin, the gamer. And that's...
I like that we then get the follow-up of I'm not on social media, so I don't get the toxic side of things.
Yeah.
We are his social media.
Pretty much.
That he just sends off the toxicity to.
We need to make an algorithm to feed his content to himself.
Remember the Office Creed blogs, Creed's thoughts early on? That's what our group text has become.
Jim's thoughts. All right, finally here, I have very few thoughts on this because I don't know anything about NHL draft in terms of who's going to be taken or whatever. But let's hear from Evan Marinovsky talking about the Bruins and the NHL draft, which, by the way, is tonight, in case you were wondering, and what they should do in this year's draft.
Is that pro-tanking take? Is that what that was?
I'm not really. It says on our rundown that the Bees should move up and accelerate their retool. I'm not sure that's what I took away from that.
No, that sounded very tanky.
Yeah, it sounded like he was saying trade down and get a bunch of guys. I don't know. I regret having you play that.
Yeah, I'm more confused now from it.
I am too. And if you're a listener and you think you're less confused, please call us and set us straight. 9929029. I know they have a pick tonight, and I was hoping to get some guidance on what they were going to do with it. And
God, no, because it's not until 23. So at that point, you're picking for the future, anyways.
You playing footsies with me?
Oh, am I? Is that your foot over there?
Yeah.
I thought this was the post over here that I was just kicking into.
No.
Well, anyway, we got to get to break.
All
Take
right.
it as a sign.
Bruins pick number 23 tonight, and they have 8 total selections. And they need help now because, as that guy said, Evan Marinovsky, Pasternak's not getting any younger.
No, or happier, I don't think.
I don't think both are true. Brought to you by Next Home Experience, the market leader. Get looped and get sold with Next Home Experience. Also brought to you by McDelivery through Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub. 2 sausage muffins with eggs, 2 hotcakes, 4 hash browns, 4 small hot coffees, just $19.99. 40% off and only for a limited time. Order at your local family-owned McDonald's on Main Street, Union Street in Bangor, and Wilson Street in Brewer. Also, they have I shouldn't say new because they're old, but they're back. The apple pies, those fried apple pies that everyone loses their mind about. Pro tip, be careful when you bite into one of those.
Hot.
Because I remember as a kid that they were delicious, and I loved them, especially if you get the little vanilla cone on the side to
Ooh.
Yeah. But if you get real excited and you just want to go for it and bite into it, you will burn your face.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll take a break. Lauren Campbell of MassLive.com up next. Well, that's fun. Welcome back to The Drive, brought to you by Heroes Sports Grill and Entertainment Center. Heroes, the place to be in downtown Bangor, and at heroesportsgrill.com. Also brought to you by Bangor Window Shade and Drapery, custom blinds, shades, drapery, and outdoor awnings. Bangor Window Shade, 105 Main Street in Bangor. You heard right there Craig Breslow on the phone with a Boston area station, and you can hear how it went with their live audience in-house. It was not good for him or for anyone, and the announcers kind of laughing about it because they know, and I can probably confidently say that Craig Breslow will not be joining that show anytime soon. What was that show?
That was the Greg Hill Morning Show. He does a weekly hit with them.
Well,
now, he wasn't in person. He was just over the phone while they had a live studio audience, but he got the brunt of that live studio audience.
I suspect he may have some words for them and whatever the station management is, because they... It's the one thing to have the people cheering and jeering and booing him, but it's another thing for the studio host to just laugh about it. You're pretty much laughing at Craig Breslow's face at that point.
Well,
which
later in the interview, Craig Breslow goes on to talk about how he still thinks this team is just a run away and maybe they can still add at the deadline to get there. And Greg Hill, who not a runner, says, Craig, I'm more likely to go on a run before the end of this year than the Red Sox. And then just silence on the other end of it.
Yikes. All right, let's go to our Heroes hotline now to welcome in Lauren Campbell of MassLive.com. So you couldn't hear that earlier, Lauren, but on that morning show, they had a live studio audience, and you could hear people screaming pretty vehemently in the background. Lots of boos.
Do something.
Then there was just the very loud, once it got quiet, do something a couple of times. Kind of like, that meme with the stick that you're poking the thing with. How long is Craig Breslow's stick? What can he actually do something about?
It starts with the trade deadline. I think that he needs to sell. I don't think that it's realistic to think that this team could go on a meaningful run. Like, sure, they certainly could, but I think it's way too late in the season to kind of do anything that's meaningful in the standings, both in the AL East and in the league standings. So I think you need to look at your roster, sell off what you can, and get ready for 2027 or 2028 if there's a lockout next year. But it's crazy because I think it was Ken Rosenthal said, obviously, Craig Breslow is next to get fired. It's just a matter of when. Nobody knows when. And if the plan is to fire him after the season, it just doesn't make sense for him to go through with this trade deadline, kind of do what he wants, and then get rid of him to bring someone else in to kind of clean up this mess.
Well, that's kind of where I wanted to lead you as well, is Craig Breslow the best man for the job if we all believe them to be sellers, which I think we do? And then secondarily, if he's not the man for the job, then who the heck do they get to do it?
That's two great questions, because I don't think that I don't think he's the right man for this job, and I don't really know who could take over and who would really want this kind of job. They had trouble bringing in Breslow, and I think that when you take this kind of position, chief baseball officer, GM, president of baseball operations, what have you, that it does come with a lot of risk, right? It's a high job. It's, there's a lot of pressure. Maybe people don't stay in these jobs long to begin with, but to kind of see how the Red Sox have handled a lot of trade deadlines, extensions, this job in general, I don't think it's a desirable job for potential candidates out there that are looking and being like, well, how can I build a team that I want to build, but not have the okay from ownership and kind of be controlled by them. So I don't know kind of what's next for Breslow. I think that in the past, you look at his trades, some are hit or miss. Obviously the Devers trade was great to get that contract off the books, but then you look at what you have left over from that trade, which is nothing, and you look at who's out there from that trade. James Tibbs. You also had Kyle Harrison, who was traded before the season, and just how they're performing, and they're performing quite well. And you just kind of wonder, from the trades he's made in the past, if it's going to be more of the same at this deadline, where you're not going to get maybe what players are worth, and then just kind of leave, like I said, a mess for the next person to clean up.
Yeah, and I guess my concern is also the way that Craig Breslow is talking presently on the job. He seems to be not really based in reality, talking about this team going on runs and still being in it. I read the stat on yesterday's show. Through 78 games, there had been 376 Major League Baseball teams in the modern era to have less than a 420 winning percentage. That's still where the Red Sox are at, even after last night's win. They're at 418. Of those 376 teams, 0 made the playoffs, and the best of all of them went on to win 80 games, finishing the season at 88 and 82. I mean, the hole has been dug at this point, right? Why is he talking this way? Who is he trying to fool?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is that there's not a lot of transparency coming from him, and fans deserve, at the bare minimum, that transparency, because I think a lot of the fans also know that this team is not a postseason team. They're not just a run away from getting back into the standings. And I think you've watched enough games this season, we're in the end of June here, to realize that this team has a lot of holes, whether it's, the defense hasn't been awful, but at times when it's costly, it's very costly. The pitching has been okay, but pretty good, I'd say, for the most part. But again, there's still holes to fill, and a lot of questions about, what do you do with the infield, the outfield? What do you do with someone like Brian Bayo? Why is Carlos Narvaez not getting the brunt of the starts and Mickey Gasper is? Like, what's kind of going on here? In Craig Breslow, I don't know if it's just he's just trying to stay positive. I don't know if he's really in an alternate universe where he thinks this team is a runaway from being a good competitive team. But I think that's not the greatest here, because there has not been competitive baseball on the Red Sox side for most of this season.
If I'm, let's say Craig Breslow is fired tomorrow and the Red Sox start their GM search, if I'm someone who wants to be a POBO or a GM or whatever you want to call the position, and I look at this team and I say to myself, like, Breslow brought them Contreras, he brought them Gray, he kind of hit on a lot of the moves he made in the course of the offseason. Like, their best players, they're performing well. Ranger Suarez, those guys are the guys that he brought in the offseason, and yet it was still clearly not even close to enough. So, like, obviously the management side of things is hamstrung by a front office and an ownership that just don't get it. I mean, I just don't see how they can bring someone in that's going to have any credibility whatsoever.
It's going to be hard. And I think, too, in Breslow's case, he doesn't really have any idea kind of how the offensive side of things work. I feel like he was a pitcher. He has a good sense in that regard. And he's hit on, like you mentioned, Ranger Suarez, Sonny Gray. He hit on some of those acquisitions there, but overall, and that's taking Wilson Contreras out of that equation, but overall, it's just like he doesn't really know how to build a team, and it's going to be hard for whoever the next person is. It could be the smartest person in baseball. It's going to be hard to, construct something, or kind of, I don't know if they need to tear it down and kind of retool, just with all the infielders and outfielders and just abundance of players at one position, and how the next person handles that. They might have to make some hard decisions, but I think coming in and just kind of setting the groundwork early and hitting the ground running would go very far with this fan base. They've been led on for the last few years, especially since those words "full throttle" were uttered a few years ago, and I feel like they have not really recovered since then.
So, Lauren, you just spent the last week out west following this team around for fun, you told me, and I really hope that T-Mobile and Coors Field, or whatever those two stadiums are being called these days, were unchecked bucket list items, because why else mix the Red Sox with pleasure?
Yeah, so this trip was booked months and months ago when my husband and I both thought this team was going to be better. And every year we try to go to different ballparks together to check off all 30 at some point. We've both been to Coors, but never been to T-Mobile. So that was a good bucket list. Both beautiful, beautiful parks. But we did see a win in Seattle, so that was a plus. We went to the first game of the Rockies series where they lost in the ninth on a walk-off triple. So that was not fun. But the cities and the parks as a whole are beautiful. 10 out of 10 recommend. Yeah, like I said, we thought this team was going to be much better when we booked this trip with a lot of optimism.
You and us all. What is, how many of the 30 have you been to? What's your favorite so far and your least favorite? Outside of Fenway, of course.
I've been, I think, 10, and my husband's been to 12 or 13. I very much love Wrigley. I think that, it's kind of up there, with the historics of Fenway and just being a very old ballpark. There's something so great about that. And I loved T-Mobile. T-Mobile and Coors are up there for me as well. T-Mobile is just beautiful. It's also like 9:30 at night, and it's still sunny out, kind of. So you get to watch a whole night game under sunshine, so that's not too bad. My least favorite that I've been to thus far is Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia.
Really?
It's not that I wasn't impressed. I think I've only been to 10, so it's hard to, rank them all, and they're all great in their own way. But I think that would be my least favorite. I think just because how it's set up, and I don't think this was necessarily their fault. The concession lines were quite long and quite slow, but the vibe of the park was great. And we didn't see the Red Sox play there, so that could have had something to do with it too. But it's not that it's a bad park. It's just my least favorite.
Now, did you get any crickets, the roasted crickets at the Seattle game? Because I hear that those are very popular there.
No, I am not an adventurous eater at all. The most adventurous thing I tried in Seattle was a cherry, because I'd never had a cherry before. So that's about as adventurous as I get. Yeah.
That is.
Whoa.
We just got a lot of insight into you.
We just learned something about Lauren Campbell.
We did.
Yeah.
We certainly did learn something about you.
The palate is quite unrefined.
What did you think about cherries?
Yes. Oh, I love them. I was like, I forget what they were called, but we can't get them here. And I was like,
Rainier cherries? Rainier
Yes.
cherries, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, those are good.
So good. And I was like, what do you mean we don't have these back home? We need to ship like 10 pounds of them.
Now, was this with the pit? Because some people, they bite into a cherry thinking it's going to be like the ones you get in like the can or the glass jar, like on a sundae. And then they're like, oh, what's this hard thing in the center of it?
Yeah, there was a pit, which I was prepared for. So that doesn't bother me at all. But they were so good, and they were very delightful, and a great little treat just to walk around and eat.
Now I'm curious to know all the things that Lauren hasn't eaten over for years. I don't know. We might have to schedule another appearance on the show just for that.
Maybe every time we have you on from here on out, we'll just ask you like one question, like one food item to see if you've tried it or not.
Since your last appearance, you have to come with one food item that you have tried moving forward. So in a month or 6 weeks, whenever we reach back out to you, hopefully you've tried one new dish in that time.
Perfect. I will put that on my list. I love this.
Before we let you go, I did want to ask you, Marcelo Meyer, he's playing some shortstop now. Defensively, seems like he's fit in pretty well. Offensively, I mean, overmatched is probably a word I would use. And he just doesn't seem to have been able to put it together. He has stayed healthy, which I guess is a good thing. I mean, given the options, I guess they have to replace him. Like, how long of a leash do you give a guy like Marcelo Meyer before you do what you did with Christian Campbell?
Yeah, I think it's a lot longer of a leash, and I think because his defense has been, for the most part, pretty good. I think they need to take a look at their development team and kind of figure out why he is struggling at the plate so much, and just kind of get him right. And that could be something as simple as just having that veteran leader in the clubhouse that they lost in Alex Bregman over the offseason. I mean, I know they have Wilson Contreras and Trevor Story is there as well, but when you have someone you can really lean on and try to get you out of these slumps and get you back on track, that really, really helps. That's why someone like JD Martinez, Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts, why they were so important to the Red Sox while they were here. But I think he does have a longer leash. I think that, his injuries haven't helped him in his development, but I do think he should be farther along. But on a bad team and a bad season for everyone, I think that he stands out just because he's supposed to be a bright spot for this team. But I think that I don't think he goes to Worcester. I think that he's got that longer leash. I don't think he's going to be another Christian Campbell or anything like that. I think he'll be fine. It's just a matter of trying to get to the end of this season and then just have a full off season to focus on the offensive side of things.
If you don't mind, I'm going to hit you with a couple of like really quick hits. Just give me like 2 or 3 word answers, if that's okay.
Yep,
okay.
Absolutely.
First one is, which veteran is traded first?
Out of who?
Out of like the big 3 there, Aroldis Chapman,
Gray, Chapman, Contreras.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, Chapman.
Okay. Do we see Roman Anthony again this year?
No.
Do we see Garrett Crochet again this year?
Yes, but very late in the season.
Okay. That's all I got for you. The no.
Right. I
was hoping you weren't going to say no on the Roman Anthony, but I was getting more and more afraid that you were going to say yes, because at some point it's just a lost season and you just. How about Tristan Cassis? Do we see Tristan Cassis this season?
I don't know if we see him ever again. I don't even know where he is at this point.
Yeah, I think that says volumes right there. That no one, I think, has any idea where the guy is. Well, thank you very much, Lauren, for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, and now we know she likes cherries. Cherries are delicious.
Oh,
but
yeah.
they do. Did you know they stain your teeth?
Yeah, you get the cherry line.
Yeah, I had a problem where I was eating like way too many of them. And then I was like, I think I cracked my front teeth on a pit or something. Yeah. But then I went to the doctor and like, no, they call that a craze line. It's just a thing that you can get it taken care of. Just too many cherries. They
just a cherry fiend over there.
I was. Brought to you by Premium Choice Broadband, local family owned, bringing affordable high-speed internet to Maine for over a decade. Call or email to mention PCB the ticket to get 1 free month for new residential customers. Visit premiumchoicebroadband.com for details. We got a message from Fred Milford, who asked, do you think that's why they haven't fired Craig Breslow already? Because they have not the slightest idea of who they're going to replace him with? And yes, I think that's probably accurate.
Wouldn't that be something if it comes out that John Henry or Tom Warner or Sam Kennedy, they've just been trying to work back channels endlessly to see if anybody can come in and wants the job for 2.5 months, navigate through a trade deadline.
Like, who would want to take on that responsibility?
Nobody. You would have to be out of baseball at the moment. You would have to be someone knowledgeable and with a deep enough resume that I think you would look at it and say, no, I don't want to be your next scapegoat.
Here's the only name that I could ever think of.
It's Theo, and Theo's not going to do it.
Exactly. It's Theo Epstein, because he's a part owner of the team now, and John Henry could call him into his office and say, please, I beg of you, if you do this for me on the day of my daughter's wedding.
No, he doesn't care.
But yeah, he doesn't care enough, and I think even then Theo would be like, no thanks, bud. This is a dumpster fire. You built it. You keep it. So anyway, to answer the question, yes, I do think that is seriously an issue, because who do they replace him with? A robot, honestly. Like, they would just have to replace him with AI.
Do the deadline.
Right. That's ChatGPT has taken over. Claude has taken over. They're running the show now. If you're stuck on the side of the road, Union Street Towing has you covered 24/7 statewide. From breakdowns to lockouts, they'll get you moving fast. Call 942-4200. That's Union Street Towing, driven to be there when you need them the most. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little Maine hockey. Welcome back to The Drive, brought to you by Madden Generator Services. Expert installation, dependable maintenance, and a free 7-year warranty on new Generac installs. They'll keep your home in the game. 951-4668, Madden Generator Services, power you can count on. And by Bangor Mall Cinema, Greater Bangor's favorite hometown theater for over 40 years. Bangor Mall Cinema, luxury of recliners and upgraded food menu. Find showtimes and reserve your seat at your neighborhood theater.com. There's a movie there. I think I'm going to go see it next week called Obsession. It's been there for a little while, and I had wanted to go see it, and I just didn't. But it's stuck around because I guess it beat for like week 4 or week 5 at the box office. It beat Avengers Endgame in profits, and it was made for $750,000.
That's not bad.
So it's kind of crazy, which makes me think that it's interesting, and it might be related to our drive poll here coming up in the second hour of the show. But for right now, we're talking a little Maine men's hockey because their schedule has been unveiled for the next season.
Yeah, they released it earlier today. The biggest thing that sticks out right at the top, 19 home games all in one building. That would be Alfond Arena, and it's a pretty balanced home schedule this year. You remember how last year was a little trippy there, where they went 5-6 weeks, it seemed like, around Christmas and into the new year.
No home games.
Either not playing or playing away from Orono. This year, you get 9 games at the Alfond before Christmas, 10 games at the Alfond after Christmas. So as evenly split as those 19 can be, the season opens on October 2nd at Holy Cross. Black Bears opening the season on the road this year. The home opener is the following weekend against Quinnipiac on October 9th. Hockey East opener comes up at the end of the month at BU on the 30th. And then the regular season finale at the Alfond against Vermont on March 5th. That's going to make Black Bear fans happy, though. 19 games all in one building, pretty evenly split. I would say the concerns of last year's schedule were listened to and heard by not whoever, we know who's running that program, but everyone involved with it.
Yeah. Now, the question becomes is who's going to be on the ice for them? Because there's a lot of question marks.
Yeah, they've been busy, too. They've been very active in the transfer portal, filling all those slots, but it's going to be a different looking team next year, certainly, between the people that left in the transfer portal, but more so just to go professional. A lot of Black Bears went pro off last year's team.
Outside of the goalie position, there's a lot of turnover.
Yeah, there's a lot of turnover.
So we'll see how that plays out for them this year. Could be interesting. Ben Barr, though, is known as a recruiter. That's what they said when they brought him in, and that's been his career, is a top-notch recruiter. And so if anyone can kind of flip things on the fly and build from the ground up in a real fast pace, it's probably him.
You would have confidence based on the first 5 years.
Yeah. Hey, we're brought to you by Fat Panda Boba Tea and Market on Harlow Street in Bangor next to Goslin's Bakery. Sip fresh boba, explore snacks, ramen, and their tasty Jamaican patties. Also, they have a brewer location, Wilson Street next to Hannaford. And we're brought to you by Dairy Queen in Old Town. The $7 chicken strip meal deal has it all. 100% white meat seasoned chicken strips, full-size fries, a drink, and a DQ sundae, all for just $7. Visit 613 Stillwater Avenue in Old Town today. That does it for the first hour of the show. The Drive at 5 up next here on 92.9 The Ticket.